Everyone knows Lauryn Hill was a huge star back in the day. She won Grammys, got great reviews, and her album The Miseducation of Lauryn Hill was playing everywhere all the time. So how did one of the most famous artists of her time suddenly disappear from the spotlight?
3 members dropped solo albums. Lauryn Hill's album has the most success. But then she stops dropping albums. I mean, she has like the MTV Unplugged album, but she doesn't really drop a real follow-up to this diamond-selling album. You know, you guys are still close. Did she tell you why she stopped making albums?
She just felt uninspired.
People are once again saying that Diddy might have played a part in the rise and fall of certain artists. I know it sounds wild at first, but when you start to look closely, Diddy's name keeps showing up in the background of artists who became stars quickly, and then faded just as fast. For years, there have been quiet rumors about artists getting blacklisted, deals falling through, and talented people being pushed out of the spotlight. And in many of these stories, Diddy is the one name that keeps showing up. The list of affected artists is long, from Day 26 to Danity Kane, and even others we don't hear about anymore. Now, people are asking, could Lauryn Hill be another one of those artists? Lauryn's career was built on staying true to herself and not letting the music industry control her. So maybe she clashed with people behind the scenes. Did she get blacklisted because she refused to play the game? Could it have been because of her relationship with Wyclef Jean while he was married? Or maybe because of her bold opinions and comments about white people. There was also a lawsuit that cost her a lot of money, and a cult-like leader who isolated her from everyone. She knew. And now, the big question. What does MC Lyte know? Word is, she's been talking privately about how someone, maybe Diddy, could have helped push Lauryn Hill out of the music world. So, did Lauryn and Diddy actually have any direct interactions? Yes, a few. For example, Lauryn Hill started a nonprofit group called the Refugee Project to help at-risk youth in the city, and Diddy was on the board of trustees. They also both performed at the 2023 Roots Picnic in Philadelphia. Diddy performed with the Roots, and Lauryn celebrated the 25th anniversary of her album, The Miseducation of Lauryn Hill. Besides that, there's not much public info showing a close connection between Lauryn and Diddy. But now, people are wondering if, like other artists, Diddy played a role in getting Lauryn blacklisted from the industry. If that's true, it would be one of the saddest parts of the Diddy drama. Lauryn Hill was truly special. She knew from a young age that she wanted to be a star. At just 13, she got on stage at the Apollo Theater in New York City to sing Who's Lovin' You by the Jackson 5. Sadly, she was so nervous that she couldn't finish the performance and ended up getting booed by the audience. Even as a child, despite all the terrible things she faced, she never gave up. In high school, she joined a hip-hop group called the Fugees, which was started by her Haitian friend Praz. At first, the group included just Praz and a girl named Marcy, who invited Lauryn to join. About a year later, Praz's cousin Wyclef Jean also joined the group. They somehow managed to keep up with their schoolwork while recording songs and performing at good shows. By the end of the school year, 3 different record labels had offered them deals. Besides music, Lauryn also got acting roles. One of her big ones was in Sister Act 2 with Whoopi Goldberg. At the height of her fame, Lauryn faced her first controversy. She got a lot of criticism when rumors spread that she had said something negative about white people. Something like she'd rather die or let her kids go hungry than have white people listen to her music. These were just rumors, but many people believed them, and it may have hurt her career. Lauryn later tried to explain the situation during an interview on The Howard Stern Show.
I think that it was probably taken out of context. What I was saying is that I make my music for young black youth because I'm a young black youth myself, and there's a message in my songs.
Yes.
and that's for people who look and come from the same areas that I do. That doesn't mean that my music isn't universal.
So you don't mind white people? So you never said, I don't want white people to buy
Well,
my music?
I mean, I'm not stupid. You know,
Right.
I'm a musician, but I like to consider myself a businesswoman.
I mean, your manager's a white guy, right?
Yeah, he is.
Right.
So what was said?
Even though Lauryn Hill was dealing with a lot of pressure at the time, the Fugees still won 2 Grammys, one for Best R&B Performance and another for Best Rap Album. But surprisingly, the group broke up while they were still at the top. Lauryn's former manager said it was because of creative disagreements. Lauryn herself said, "I thought I'd be in the group forever, until I ended up in a situation where I felt a strong need to express myself freely without being held back." This meant Lauryn had to go solo, and she was a powerful force. Her first album, The Miseducation of Lauryn Hill, was a huge hit. It sold over 10 million copies and won 5 Grammys. What's crazy is that Lauryn Hill was at the very top. She had hit songs, sold-out shows, and a solo debut that's still seen as one of the best albums ever. She had everything. So how does someone so successful just disappear? No major second album, hardly any big collaborations, and the music industry seemed to quietly move on without her. It doesn't make sense. How does a cultural legend fade away when she should have kept winning for decades? Something, or someone, had to be behind that silence, right? Well, a company called Newark Entertainment said they didn't get proper credit for their work on Miseducation. They took Lauryn to court, and the case ended with Lauryn paying them $5 million in a settlement. But that whole situation supposedly left her deeply hurt. On top of that, she felt a lot of pressure to keep doing better. That may have caused Lauryn to pull away even more. As for what Lauryn said herself, she talked to Essence magazine in 2009. "I don't think I ever handled celebrity for a period of time. I had to step away entirely. There were many temptations, enticements, entrapments, whether it was the dependence on image or just some false sense of security. I had to step away when I realized that for the sake of the machine, I was being way too compromised." In a different interview on the Rolling Stone Amazon Music podcast 500 Greatest Albums in 2021, Lauryn shared more about why she never released another full studio album. She began by saying this: "The wild thing is, no one from my label has ever called me and asked me, how can we help you make another album ever? Did I say ever? She also said that while Miseducation offered her the freedom to experiment, there was a lot of pressure to make a second album that was just as good as the first one. After the Miseducation, there were scores of politics repressing agendas, unrealistic expectations, and saboteurs everywhere. People had included me in their own narratives of their successes as it pertained to my album, and if this contradicted my experience, I was considered an enemy." Lauryn also said many times that men and women are treated differently when it comes to creative control, and that this made her feel even more distant. Men can often say what they want without being challenged, while women face so much resistance for speaking about their rights. She fought for the freedom to create and live without being threatened, controlled, or manipulated. Lauryn has also spoken up about other problems, like sexism and the unfairness of the IRS. Because of this, she was reportedly pushed out and blocked from working in the industry.
Because I think that what I've consciously decided to do is be patient and wait for those instructions again, as opposed to the instructions from the record company. You know, I can't, unfortunately, I can't fulfill their needs. You know, I can't, because it's devoid of all feeling. You know what I mean? I have to make sure that what I create, you know, I never want to condescend. There are a lot of people who condescend to the audience. You know, they just think, oh, they like anything. Just throw a beat on it and put your voice on it. But if it doesn't move me, then I don't think it's worthy enough to put out there and move someone else. You know what I mean? Like it has to be something that is personally, you know, is something that I need personally. That's my barometer for whether or not it's good for the people.
Like many other artists who stood up for their rights, Lauryn was called difficult for not showing up or being very late. And she really was very late many times. but still wanted respect and full pay. She got into more trouble in 2012 when she was charged with not paying $1.8 million in federal taxes. In 2013, she went to prison for 3 months because of it. By then, Lauryn's music career was almost gone. It didn't help that she became known as an unreliable performer who was often late to her concerts. But if you ask Lauryn, she will say, "This is what happens to people who don't follow the rules and fight for their rights in music."
You know, my concept of successful living is escaping the matrix, as we talked about, you know. It, has very little to do with what people think success is. I actually feel successful right now, even though, I don't have an album out or a video or a song on the radio.